Welcome back to the deep dive. So today our mission is to take what, on the surface, looks like a really simple, almost like a fable.
Right, a children's story, basically.
Exactly. It's called Plato and the Secret Ingredient of Kindness. But we're going to try and extract some pretty deep core principles from it.
Things like organizational psychology, group dynamics.
All of that. This isn't just a morality lesson. We think it's a kind of high-speed shortcut into understanding what makes a collective system really, really function.
And shine.
And shine, yes. So we jump right in. The setting is Maple Hollow Elementary. It's holiday baking day. Just imagine the scene, the overwhelming sensory details. You've got the smell of warm sugar, cinnamon.
The sound of frosting tubes squishing, kids chattering. It's a high-stimulus environment.
Totally. Potentially chaotic, which, as we'll see, is the perfect testing ground for what happens next.
For structure.
All right, so we meet two kids, Mia and Max. Mia finishes her cookie, a perfectly decorated star, and she places it on this bright red ceramic plate. And that's the moment, the catalyst, the literal foundation of the whole group. It intervenes.
A voice.
The voice just cuts through all that noise and says, "Excuse me, could you scoot that cookie a little to the left?"
And the source material is very, very clear here.
Oh, wait.
It wasn't a teacher. It wasn't another kid.
It was the plate itself. And this plate, Plato, doesn't just talk. It dictates structure.
Exactly. He's far more than some whimsical character. He's really the embodiment of the system administrator.
The system administrator, I love that.
Yeah, in this deep dive, Plato represents the fundamental laws governing successful teams. He establishes right away that the arrangement, the physical structure, is what either enables or, prevents collaboration.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because Plato introduces himself with three very specific and I think very relevant job titles. He shimmers, he smiles, and he says he's Plato talking cookie plate.
Right.
His first role is professional cookie organizer. That's clear enough. He manages placement.
Simple.
But the second title, emotional support dish. That's where things get interesting. That's where the structure meets psychology.
And that's what's so fascinating. The source just instantly connects external order to an internal psychological state. By calling himself an emotional support dish, Plato is basically asserting that good organization isn't just about, looking nice or maximizing space.
It's about safety.
It's about psychological safety. A well-structured environment, whether it's a cookie plate or a project team, is one where every single element feels secure. It feels properly contextualized.
And if the context is wrong,
the internal state breaks down. The cookie crumbles.
that's a huge distinction. He's not a decorator, he's a context engineer.
Yeah.
And his rules are so counterintuitive. He's not sorting by size or color.
No, not at all.
He says, stars like to be near moons. Gingerbread prefer company. And lonely cookies get crumbly.
And if you translate that right into something like professional risk management, it stops being just a cute metaphor. I mean, lonely cookies get crumbly.
Yeah, what does that really mean?
It's a perfect illustration of how total isolation can lead to, rapid systemic failure. An isolated component, like a team member or a process, isn't just detached, it's actively degrading.
It's a risk. It threatens the whole system.
Exactly. Plato's rules are basically a form of dependency mapping, knowing which pieces need to be next to each other to keep the whole thing healthy.
Well, I do have to push back a little on that. Does the source suggest that just sliding a cookie around actually causes kindness? Or is he just showing a correlation? Where's the kindness coming from?
That's a great question, but the source makes the causality really clear through immediate observation.
How so?
The moment Plato started working, gently moving the cookies around based on these relational needs, the kids' behavior changed instantly.
They start sharing sprinkles.
Helping each other, smiling. The kindness didn't exist before the arrangement. The thoughtful, structured arrangement is what catalyzed the positive behavior.
Wow. So organization and inclusion aren't the result of kindness.
They are the reliable mechanism to induce kindness and collaboration.
So structured inclusion is the active ingredient. And Plato just locks this in with his, foundational mantra.
Right.
Cookies taste better when kindness is baked in. That's a powerful summary.
It's the definition of enhanced performance through environment. I mean, when the environment is optimized for connection and security, the final product, the taste, the outcome, is just intrinsically superior.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the core conflict of the story, the lesson of the lonely cookie. Everything Plato has done so far has been proactive,
Yeah.
preventative organization. But now the system has to face that inevitable challenge of internal doubt.
Of low perceived value.
Yes, there's this small, plain cookie, no fancy decorations, sitting at the very edge. And the force says it starts to crack, and it whispers, I don't belong here. Everyone else is fancy.
And this is the moment where the system has to prove its worth. That plain cookie represents that feeling of inadequacy we all have, or the element that the group perceives as, having low value.
The weakest link? Maybe.
Maybe. So the question for us, for you listening, is, do we value things based on their visible complexity, their fancy frosting, or their inherent necessary purpose?
And Plato's response is so immediate.
And it's focused on intrinsic worth, not comparison. He just dismisses the cookie's self-assessment. He says, nonsense, every cookie has a purpose.
He shifts the focus from fanciness to necessity.
In organizational terms, he's immediately validating the need for, a diverse range of contribution.
And the human element kicks in. Mia sees the cookie's distress, and she offers that first fundamental act of inclusion.
The invitation.
You can sit with mine. The invitation is essential, but the real structural intervention comes next.
Yes, it does.
Plato takes that small, plain cookie, the one that felt totally irrelevant, and he places it right in the dead center of the plate.
A critical move.
He doesn't just hide it on the edge with the other plain ones. He's strategically maximizes its connectivity.
This is where we see what you could call strategic centrality in action. The value of heterogeneity. So why the center? Why there?
Right.
Because it maximizes the opportunity for interaction. And the very moment that plain cookie was centered, the system delivered the definitive proof of its value.
The magic happens.
The magic happens. We see that the frosting on all the surrounding cookies starts to shimmer brighter. The whole plate glows like candlelight.
And crucially, the ones that were already fancy, the stars and the swirls, they were fundamentally enhanced by including the simplest element.
Inclusion didn't just save the plain cookie from cracking. It optimized the performance of everything else.
That is the ultimate aha moment. It's the entire thesis of the source, and Plato just delivers it right there. See? You are the missing ingredient.
So profound.
It really is. The element that had the least perceived external value was the one required to activate the total collective potential.
So you don't include that person or that idea out of charity.
No. You include them because they are the necessary component for the entire system to hit its maximum potential. Without them, the plate is just suboptimal.
So if we translate this back to the bigger picture for you, the listener, this gives you a structured model for understanding the ROI of inclusion, the return on investment.
Right.
A team, a project, a product. It doesn't just accommodate the less flashy parts, it requires them to reach its highest level of output. You could almost call it its group luminousness index.
I like that. The group luminousness index.
Yeah. If your system isn't shining, you haven't valued the full range of ingredients you have.
So we can now kind of synthesize the big professional lessons here.
I think so. First, the value of any element is intrinsic. It doesn't matter what its external decoration looks like.
And second, strategic inclusion, Plato's rules, is a powerful causal force for kindness and collaboration.
And the central maxim, which is now, as you said, backed by proof. Kindness is the sweetest ingredient, and everyone belongs on the plate.
It's structural necessity, but it's framed as sentiment. It's brilliant.
It is.
And we get the physical proof that the lesson worked. The moment passes, the lights flicker, and Plato goes still. He's just a plate again.
The magic is over.
But when the children finally eat the cookies, the source makes this wonderful declaration. The cookies tasted better than any cookies the kids had ever had.
This is critical. This is the payoff. The structural magic translated directly into enhanced product quality, into a better user experience.
The kind moment literally improved the outcome.
The shared experience, built on that strategic inclusion, made the final product objectively better.
So this framework really gives you a way to analyze your own work, your own social structures.
Absolutely. Are you designing your project plan or your team meetings according to Plato's rules? Are you identifying your dependencies and maximizing the connectivity of those seemingly plain but necessary elements?
And you can ask yourself, right, is my group dynamic truly shimmering?
Exactly. And if not, you are likely failing to properly place or value a key ingredient. The solution probably isn't adding more resources. It might just be the strategic centralization of what you already have.
Before we wrap up, I think we have to spend a moment on Plato's final thought. Just as the magic dissipates, he gives one last gentle spin.
And he gives us the thesis for the entire source.
He says, remember, little bakers, Plates don't just hold treats. They hold moments.
And this just reframes the entire goal, doesn't it? If the deepest value of the plate isn't the physical treat, the perfectly decorated cookie, but the collective moment of shared energy it enables.
What does that imply about how we should prioritize our resources?
It's a huge question. In your professional life, are you solely focused on perfecting the visible treat, the task, the deliverable, the individual performance metric?
Yeah.
Or are you investing in the structure, the psychological safety, and the thoughtful arrangement required to create an unforgettable, luminous moment for everyone involved?
That's a powerful thought to leave people with.
Well, the simple answer, according to this source material, is that focusing on optimizing the moment through strategic kindness and inclusion is actually the most reliable way to guarantee the quality of the final treat.
It's a fundamental flip in optimization strategy.
A total flip.
Something to chew on when you look at the structure of your next project. That was a surprisingly technical deep dive into the organizational psychology of a talking cookie plate.
It really was.
We hope you feel a little brighter and maybe better equipped to structure your own essential moments.